Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, 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 check. Check, check.
Ladies and gentlemen, football fans of North Central Ohio, you are now entering the Friday Night Pigskin. So get strapped in, lay some tide and get right for big hits, top plays, and highlights. All coming your way from under the Friday night lights. The most exciting sounds and sights, gridiron action to serve your viewing delights. Let's go. Friday night lights. Get hype, it's Friday night. Friday night lights. Get hype, here we go now. Friday night lights. Get hype, it's Friday night. Friday night lights. Get hype, here we go now. He's at the 10, the 5, touchdown! Throws it over the middle and he gets absolutely sauced. Friday night lights. Get hype, it's Friday night. Friday night lights. Get hype, here we go now.
Mosier and Tharp motion to the near side. Two receivers there as well. Wallace handoff, bobbled a little bit, but now he'll scoop it up and get to the first down marker. He loses two tacklers. He'll take it to the outside. Zoom Wallace is looking for the end zone, the 10, the 5, touchdown Danville.
Bit of a stutter step there at the 10-yard line to throw off the Lucas defender. Just enough to get Wallace the extra little bit of room he needed to get in the end zone.
My eyes still starting to adjust here to the Tough Street Stadium and all that beautiful turf, but what a call there from Jonathan Langdon and the boys there. Lucas on the road at Danville. We've got the highlights coming up for that and so much more here on week 3 of the Friday Night Pigskin. I am Brian Skowronski, and your sponsor for this show always, Spherion Mid-Ohio. They bring you all of this here tonight and every week moving forward, and we have plenty on the way. Several teams in our backyard looking to go to 3-0 tonight. Most of them would, and we've got the moving pictures to prove that coming up as well. We had some great defensive battles, big time plays, and let's not waste any time. Let's run right into our first highlight of the night. One of the best rivalries that we have in all of North Central Ohio. The Shelby Whippets have not won in Bellevue in quite some time, but this is a little bit different looking team than we've seen in the past, and the Whippets were out for blood tonight. And Shelby starting the game with a classic Braden DeVito to Brady Bowman connection as Bowman gets the opening touchdown of the game. Where's the defense? 32-yard score there. It is 6-zip early on after the missed PAT, and get used to hearing Bowman's name in this game. Bellevue was able to answer back, though, immediately on their first drive. 1-yard touchdown plunge here from Evan Bova, but they too would miss the PAT, so we're all square at 6 apiece. Shelby gets to the field, and after marching down with an air attack, they would set up DeVito for the QB keeper here, and it's a 1-yard score. 2-point conversion, good. 14-6. Whippets are out in front. Bellevue trying to answer the phone here on their ensuing drive, but the ball is going to get intercepted inside of the 5, which would set up DeVito yet again on another rushing touchdown to make it 21-6, and the Whippets firmly out in front. Shelby's going to get the ball back after a strong showing from the defense, and we're going to see coming up here after this DeVito touchdown that he's going to go back to the sky and find his favorite target, Bowman. I mentioned that we're going to say his name a lot. Here is that connection one more time. 39 yards on the strike coming up here. Braden through the air, blitzing them behind the defense, and all of a sudden it is 28-6. Shelby starting to run away with it. The defense would hold it yet again, and off of a trick play, DeVito tossing it back to Michael Shepard. He heaves it downfield to hit none other than Brady Bowman. You guessed it. This is a 48-yard connection this time. No 2-point conversion, not really necessary. It's 34-6. Whippets rolling on the road. We finally see some life from the Bellevue defense as they would get an interception. However, the offense not able to take advantage, as immediately they're going to give the ball back on an INT of their own after the nice return there. So they gift it back. Defense making plays all over the field for Shelby. Look at this. Boop. batted up and the interception in the end zone. Game would slow down a little bit in this second half, but Shelby not done offensively. DeVito going to hook up with Bowman again. 32-yard connect this time. His fourth touchdown of the game, 42-6 the count at this point. Luke Blevins officially going to seal the game for the Whippets with an 11-yard touchdown, making the final score of this game 49-6 in Shelby's favor. And the Whippets get it done on the road, something they haven't done in a handful of years up there in Bellevue country, and obviously they're for real. So we are talking about this team. They saw all the press clippings and the headlines, and is Shelby good enough to run the tables and go 10-0? So far, so good for the Whippets. And Braden DeVito eclipsing the 10,000-yard career mark tonight. What an amazing accomplishment for this kid, and he's still got a long way to go on the season. Potential, if he keeps hitting his average, which is about 250 passing yards per game, to finish in the top 5 in the history of the state. So definitely got to applaud the Hungry Hounds, what they are doing so far, living up to expectations. 3-0 is not easy, especially when you go up there to Bellevue to have to get it done. We're going to keep the MOAC theme, at least one of the teams now, as we go to our Marion County Game of the Week. Josh Banks was there, and he had River Valley, who you were really high on out of the gates. Week 1, they looked very sharp. They had Buckeye Valley at their place tonight, and it wasn't quite the same Vikings team that was rowing the boat and looking really good out of the gates.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to bounce back after a tough loss at home last week to Madison. They couldn't really do it tonight, renewing an old rivalry with Buckeye Valley, and the highlights will show you what happened. You're going to see off rip, Zane Furr is going to, River Valley ran that first play of the season. Buckeye Valley did it right back to him. A good old hook and ladder from about 35 yards out. But I tell you what, Zane Furr's not done yet. Quick little out route. How about an 86-yard scamper up the sideline? Nobody's going to catch him.
Ooh, burners.
Fastest kid on the field, hands down tonight, was Zane Furr for Buckeye Valley. But the Vikings aren't going to walk away slowly. You're going to see Nathan Huss, our MVP tonight, is going to scamper in. They're going to go up 21-0 before the half. But a turnover inside the 5 is going to give it to River Valley. They're going to punch one in. They'll get a 2-point conversion to make it 21-8 at half and some life. But a 48-yard sneak up the middle, untouched, for Nathan Huss would blow this game open, as that makes it 28-8. A field goal makes it 31-8, and it's just over. Here's a late game touchdown for Carter Myers. How about the season he's having? Over 200 yards receiving on the season, 10 catches, 4 of them being touchdowns. But this will be the sealer. The last touchdown of the night will come from Malachi Ross. And the Barons handle the Vikings 37-8, or 38-15.
So they get Smith out. He hadn't played quarterback or any football since 8th grade, I'm told. They got Carter Myers as well. That connect is going well, but back-to-back losses. They lose 20-7 last week. They give up 38 points this week. Josh, what's missing right now for River Valley heading into MOAC play?
Beating themselves with turnovers. They threw 3 interceptions last week, one of them being a pick 6, and I was told tonight that he actually threw 5 interceptions last week. 2 of them were called back. 2 of those were pick 6s, and he threw 5 interceptions again tonight. So 8 interceptions over 2 weeks. You're going to struggle to win games, and we talked about it on the air tonight. I talked with Mark. He said, and I said, Pleasant's going to be a very tough challenge, but you've got Clear Fork, Ontario, Gallion, Shelby all at the back end of their schedule. The MOAC is a very, very good conference this year, and I don't think any of us expected to be as good as it is.
They're keeping it within Marion County the next 2 weeks, at home against the Spartans next week, and then they're going to travel over to Harding. What is your take on what we can expect the next couple of weeks? River Valley looking to bounce back and get some confidence when they start getting into the meat of the season against some of those top-tier teams.
You're in a good spot if you're River Valley. Yeah, you're 1-2. You're going into MOAC play against 2 of the teams that you should probably beat pretty easily. Pleasant struggled again tonight. Harding had a good fight in their game. But you've got 2 Marion County teams that you can beat. You have to contain yourself. You have to restructure everything and bring the run game into it. The 4th quarter tonight, they ran for almost 100 yards in the 4th quarter alone. Allow your offensive line to take care of business, win up front, and let Chase throw the ball downfield. But you got to run it to open that up for him.
So there's still some positives to take away from it. And oh, by the way, Buckeye Valley 3-0 when you look at their season so far.
The first time since 2007 that they started the season 3-0.
A couple nice wins in there too. Gave Hayes their only loss so far of the year back in week 1. All right, thanks a lot, Josh. We're now going to bring in Travis Berardi. He's calling in from home tonight. Couldn't make the trip out here to OH Report World Headquarters. So let's see if he's laying low. But hey, there he is. In a basement somewhere in eastern Ohio. Well, what's going down, Trav?
Well, welcome everybody to OH Report Headquarters East in Massillon, Ohio. My beautiful office set down here. As you can see, Final Four posters, medals, the Mountaineers, the Steelers, everything you could have in the OH Report and in my life right here in this beautiful office. And I got some highlights coming your way. I was at Lewisville for the first ever game. We'll get that highlight later. That's why I'm here. But I do want to talk about the Gallion Tigers first, Brian, because would they overlook Norwalk setting up next week's matchup against Shelby? Well, I don't think that happened, as we can go to the highlights and take a look.
Yeah, I'm told that we're still waiting for the video to upload for that Gallion game. So we're going to get to that in a minute, Trav. But let's keep that MOA theme going here, because Ontario was at home tonight, and they were taking on a Madison team coming off of a win. Not many predicted that the Rams will get off to a nice start, and then the Warriors, a lot of youngsters in the lineup, plenty of sophomores, and let me show you how this all played out. So we begin things with a dude who you're going to want to remember the name by the end of the season, Cooper Kilgore. I'm told he was living in the gym over the summer. He's put on like 25 pounds of muscle, and oh, by the way, he's got some fancy ballerina feet as well. It was a 27-yard touchdown. He backed it up with a 67-yarder right there. So the Warriors off to a 14-0 start. Trey Remy now dials up a beautiful toss into the back of the end zone to make it 21-zip. And now here he is going airborne, all still in the first half. 28-zip Ontario. Slipping right through the fingers, though. Madison coming back. Camden Moisey to Justin McCraney with the 36-yard connect. But the Warriors just too good at home on this night. Zane Curry with a 15-yarder. They would get the 2-point conversion as well. The Max Ciroli would take it in from 7 yards. Gavin Miller was getting in on the action. The touchdowns just keep on coming. And Roman Hardy would end this thing. How about 57 points at this stadium tonight for an Ontario team that we thought had a lot of potential coming into the season, but some young pups, and they got to learn. And anytime you replace an all-time talent and a career passing and rushing leader like a Bod Penn Miller, it was some big shoes to fill for Trey Remy. But with the running attack getting going the way that it did tonight, plus the defense, Travis, Ontario's not a team that you can sleep on within the MOAC this season. So teams like Gallion that we're going to get to here in a minute, even the Shelby Whippets, we're going to talk about Clear Fork here in a second as well. I think that they can at least give some challenges to some of the top contenders.
Oh, absolutely. Remember just what Ontario was able to do last year. They have those players that have been, in those situations, and they're still getting big win after big win here. At the end of Mr. Roboto, the song, it's Kilroy. Well, now it can be Kilgore. Kilgore over at Ontario. 57 points on Madison. And, Madison's a little bit more improved from the last couple of years, but Ontario they keep rolling, and the way they're playing, that's just going to continue to give this team confidence as we move forward.
Yeah, you look at the back-to-back wins now for Ontario, and very convincing. Going on the road last week at Norwalk, 36-6. They dumped the Truckers at their place, and then the taste of home cooking tonight, setting up a pretty good battle next week when they travel over to the Colt Corral to tango with Clear Fork. And speaking of those Colts, off to a 2-0 start. It had been a while since we had seen Clear Fork in that position. They had a Richland County rivalry going down tonight. They traveled over to Minutemen Country, and we had the Emperor over there to take it in. That's right, Jackson Yoder was in the house, and what a game you saw, man. This boiled down to the final seconds. We had some onside kicks, some big defensive plays. You must have had a ton of fun over at your home school, Lex, tonight.
Gosh, I did. Oh my goodness, what a game it was. You had a little bit of everything in this game. You had an onside kick recovered by the kicking team. You had a few interceptions in this game. There was a lot to look out for, and let me break it down for you as we jump into the highlights here. Clear Fork coming into Lexington to take on the Minutemen. Opening up with a QB to QB interception, Marcus Hopefledge taking it. Meanwhile, Joe Cardell says, you know what? Let me show you some stuff. I'll show on the legs for you. He puts on around a 75-yard rushing touchdown off a QB keeper. Meanwhile, coming up in later on, Clear Fork manages to answer with a Ben Campbell direct snap to even that one up. Then goes deep here. Joe Cardell, 45 yards out to Braden Fogel in a beautiful head top catch. But we're not done yet. We're only in the fourth quarter. Then we have a QB keeper. Marcus Hopefledge takes it in to even this to shave down the deficit. But then one of the top, maybe a chance for a top play of the week here. After Seven Allen breaks a bunch of tackles, shoots down the sideline for a 65-yard touchdown. It does not get much better than that. But then another back-to-back Ben Campbell direct snap touchdowns. Now we're looking at the last little bit here coming up for Clear Fork. Onside kick. It's up and bounces off the body of a Lexington defender. Clear Fork gets to keep it, but unfortunately another QB to QB interception. And that is how it wrapped up down in Lexington. 31-28 is your final score. What a game it was. I'm glad that I got to film it. Thank you to Brian. I enjoyed it so much, and it was a game that I don't think I'll forget.
Oh man, yeah, I'm so glad that we had the highlights of this one. And both of these teams, Clear Fork, they've been building up to this season. They've got a lot of seniors now. The junior class is loaded with talent. But for Lexington, everyone's been talking about them, potential OCC contenders this year. And they've got a kid going to Georgia, and they've got a quarterback going to Michigan State. So give me your impressions of the Minutemen on both sides of the football, playing at home tonight. And what did you like most about the kids in the purple helmets?
Oh man. I would say the thing I may have liked most is just overall. I think they're really well-rounded. Of course, you have a lot of guys playing both sides of the ball. You have Joe Cardell, then you have Seven Allen, Braden Fogel, bunch of other guys who can play both sides of the ball. And that, you know, when you're good at both things, you can actually have a pretty solid team. And you know, they're using a lot less men than you would actually need. And for Lexington, it's looking pretty good for them. So I like them moving forward.
And for Clear Fork, you've seen them all 3 weeks of the season so far. So gutsy performance on the road, chance to actually win it there at the end. How much do you like this Colts team moving forward once they start getting into MOAC play?
Well, they got to play a tough Ontario team. As you just saw, they absolutely wiped out Madison. But I mean, if Lexington can handle Ontario, then I think Clear Fork can also handle them as well. They are, I would have them or Ontario as my favorite winning the MOAC. They are a very good team. They have a very good offense, a very good quarterback, very good wide receivers who can both play both sides of the ball, offense and defensively, for linebacker and wide receiver. So for Clear Fork, I think moving forward, they have a really good chance of winning the MOAC.
Oh, I love it. You heard it right here from the Emperor, making his prediction well past his bedtime. Thanks for burning the midnight oil with us here, Jackson. All right. We have Gallion. We have Bryce. Okay. So this is what we're going to do now. We've been talking a lot about the Richland County flavor. We're going to drive a little bit further down the interstate now, and we are going to check out Big Walnut and a Golden Eagle team that we saw last year. They lose on opening night, did the same thing this season, but then they ran off a whole bunch of wins in a row, got all the way to the state Final Four. They were on the road at Groveport-Madison tonight, and Bryce Coder was there, buddy. Tell me about the game. How'd this one shake out?
Perfect night for football. It was a beautiful one. Nice little stadium there at Cruiser Stadium at Groveport-Madison High School, but a little bit of drama early on in the beginning. Didn't know how it was going to go. Big Walnut seemed to have their backs against the wall, but things turned around pretty quickly, as you'll see in the clips. So starting things off, very first possession, they melt 8 minutes off of the clock in the first quarter, and Baker Bowden sneaks in. Now, Big Walnut interception off the hands of Owen Pollock on their first possession, leading to a field goal from Christian Gutierrez Sanchez. But in the second quarter, Nolan Burley starts things off doing Nolan Burley things as he gets tripped into the end zone for 6, his 4th touchdown on the season. Now taking a look at this, a huge strip from TJ Miner, and Bo Drake, only a sophomore but plays a lot of minutes on the squad, takes it all the way into the end zone on a defensive touchdown on the very next drive, and then Eli Stump to put the icing on the cake and to continue this lead, tiptoes into the end zone. Now take a look at this 2-point conversion here. They typically do this on the field goal where they'll line up off to the sideline, but the offensive line comes back. Not this time. Brody Hatfield in for the 2-point conversion and closing things out. Nolan Burley, another fierce run, and in the 4th quarter, a slick throw from Eli Stump to Brody Hatfield, 31 yards. Stump was 8 for 13 on the night, 113 yards and a touchdown to his record. Brody Hatfield, the top receiver, 3 receptions, 50 yards, and the touchdown that we just saw. So picking up the huge victory, 36-10 over Groveport-Madison, one where we didn't know how it was going to go in the second quarter, but pretty quickly, within minutes, things turned around for them.
How about 84 points the last 2 weeks for this Golden Eagles offense? We knew that they had pretty much everyone back, Bryce, so to see it come together now after a tough opening night loss against Bishop Watterson, what makes you smile most when you watch these Eagles soar?
A lot of things. I mean, their defense is so strong. They have guys like Clint Stover, Eli Helton, TJ Miner, who I think combined for a total of 5 tackles for loss tonight. They have a brand new wide receiver core. They graduated out Carter Dancer and Aiden West, so they've had to rely on guys like Gavin Harrington, Jack Rigg, who only, I think, combined had 3 catches on the season last year, but Gavin Harrington had a 39-yard touchdown catch in the last game. So just so many things that are going right. I mean, we see the leadership from the guys who have been there, Nolan Burley, Eli Stump, Brody Hatfield, of course, but it really is the younger guys who are getting the minutes and truly making the big difference for them.
You look at the OCC Capital Conference right now, Bryce, and there are 6 teams right now that have at least 2 wins heading into week number 4. Big Walnut, of course, is one of them. They got the rivalry game on the way here, man. They're going to be heading they're going to be taking on Delaware Hayes coming up this next week, who is 2-1, back-to-back wins for them. So give me a quick preview of this game down in that area, and just what do these 2 teams and that rivalry, what does it kind of mean to the greater Delaware area?
Definitely. So a little bit of backstory on the area, a little bit of geography. Sunbury and Delaware, they are in the same county, but they're separated by 71. It's kind of a hassle to get from one place to the other, so they really feel like they're 2 distinct communities. I call it the trip over 71, this rivalry. And Delaware Hayes is looking great. They have an Ohio State commit at running back who is proving to be really great so far through the season. And Big Walnut, I mean, they're a loaded front. It should be a really great game.
All right, appreciate you, Bryce. Looking forward to seeing how that one shakes out and following the Eagles' journey from start to finish, man. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
All right, love keeping these kids up past their bedtime, man. Love them calling in. All right, this is actually what we're going to do. We are going to take a quick commercial timeout. We've got several highlights that are rolling in right now. I'm going to figure out everything that we have available for you, and then we'll be back right here on the Friday Night Pigskin to show you all of the plays and highlights that you want to see.
Friday night lights. Get hype, here we go now.
In business and ag banking, it's not just about the numbers, it's about the people. At First Federal Community Bank, we believe relationships are the foundation of every successful partnership. We can help you grow your farm through various ag programs, including working with our local FSA offices, as well as Farmer Mac. We have many commercial business programs to help make your day-to-day operations easy and convenient. Because when you bank with us, you're not just a customer, you're family.
When it comes to comfort, every degree matters. At Buckeye Horizon, we proudly install and maintain Trane heating and cooling systems built to last, engineered for performance. And with our expert service, your home stays comfortable year-round. No matter the season, we'll keep your system running at its best. Call Buckeye Horizon at 419-529-2738, your local Trane comfort specialist.
This may be the week 3 edition of the Friday Night Pigskin, but we put a lot on your shoulders every week to vote for the Friday Night Phenom in the top play of the week, and this past 7 days was no different. So without further ado, we're going to show you your winner from week number 2. This was the top play according to you, the fans. And how about Kel Early? Now you see me, now you don't. He's like David Blaine out there. He somehow reappears in your picture, and he's going to coast 40 yards all the way into the end zone, running through a couple of would-be tacklers. But look at this. Where does he go? I'm not really sure, but I know where he ends up, in the end zone, a 40-yard touchdown run. That's your top play from week number 2. And since I got Tigers on my mind now, I promised you some highlights from that Gallion Tiger game tonight. So I'll welcome Travis Berardi back into the mix. They had to drive up into trucker country, Trav, and Gallion thought this was going to be a fantastic team. Off to a 2-0 start, looking for 3 straight wins. How'd it go for them up in Norwalk?
Well, I mean, like I was saying earlier, would they overlook Norwalk to get ready for that big matchup with Shelby that could...
Hey! What's up, Evan?
What's up?
Hey, I think we were trying to talk to Travis just now. I might have some notes for this Gallion game, though. Oh, is Travis back? Okay.
I think I got kicked off for a second, but I'm back, and I'm ready for the highlights whenever you guys are ready, because this was a big one. First trip for Gallion up to...
All right, so you just saw Kurt Hay get in there from 10 yards out to put Gallion on top. 7-zip. It was 14-0 now after a Cameron Kuhlman touchdown run of 1 yard. And Gallion's Aiden Schmidt later handing off to Kuhlman from 5 yards out. If you see where this is going, the Tigers were celebrating a lot tonight. Final touchdown of the third quarter here. Aiden Schmidt connecting to Dominic Capretta. 10-yard hookup. 34-0, and the final count on this game, Sam Evans, after this rushing touchdown, would make it 41-0 TI Tigers. And Gallion now off to a 3-0 start. And first 2 games at home look great against St. Mary's Memorial, even better in their home win against Cary. And now on the road, I like what the defense did tonight. How about a goose egg they put up? So far through 3 weeks, they're only allowing less than 7 points per game. We know what the offense can do. Looks like they're averaging about 38 so far. And I had a chance to talk to Matt Dick on the podcast on Monday. Super exciting to see what this team is doing. And I think a actual true contender within the MOAC. But if they're going to do it, I asked Coach Dick this. Next week, Week 4, you've got to go into enemy territory and knock off the defending MOAG champions of the Shelby Whippets that just handled Belleview. So is that game a must-win? He said, who knows? The MOAC is a very strong league, but we have that one to look forward to coming up in week number 4. And I know you guys have been looking forward to seeing what all of your votes meant for the Friday Night Phenom from week number 2. So this is what you came up with. Your winner. And it's going to go to Aaron Hayes. How about the junior signal caller from Utica in a win over Danville? 250 total yards for this cat, a 4-pack of tutties in the full variety as well. He ran for a couple, threw for a couple. Look at that awesome catch in the back of the end zone. But most importantly, after getting run off the field in week number 1, they bounce back. Thanks to this kid, Aaron Hayes, having an awesome performance down on Tough Street to earn your Friday Night Phenom from week number 2. We were out in new territories tonight, and that's why we have Travis calling in from a basement because he checked in with Lewisville tonight, Travis, and I'll have you preview their game, which was a defensive battle against Northwest.
Yeah, back once again. We have so many people that want to call in and talk. It's just crazy right now, but we're good. We did have a defensive battle out in Lewisville, a rivalry matchup as well between Lewisville and Canal Fulton Northwest. Northwest taking the last 2 matchups last year, and last year was even more important because Lewisville missed out on the playoffs by just 1 spot. If they would have come back and beat Northwest, they would have been in the postseason at 5-5, but they're not. So they're looking for some revenge tonight. Myself, Andy Jardy, on the call. The first time we were not only at Lewisville, but on the NFHS network. First quarter, Gabe Stouffer going deep, and it's going to be picked off at the 5 by the first team all-pack selection, Logan Allman, drive stalls. Mid-second now, Northwest going for it on 4th down, and Allman is just unable to catch up to it. CeeDee Lamb understands completely. Indians get another chance before the half. It's a floater. Stouffer, though, is they're able to track it down and keep this one scoreless at the break. Cool moment at the half, though. The 2025 D3 state champion basketball team receiving their state title rings. Congratulations to them once again. You can see that title game highlight on the OH Report pages. That's a nice little tease. To the third quarter now, and finally we get some offense, and in a big way. Owen Wilson off the right side, and he is off to the races. Wow! Can Allman catch him? He cannot. 69 yards. It's 7-0. But right back at you comes Northwest. Ben Shantz from 26 yards away. It is good. 7-3 after 3. Midway through the fourth, and Lewisville's Parker Daum says, anything you can do, I can do better. Good from 36. That's probably good from 50. It's 10-3. Final moments now. Last chance for the Indians, and quarterback Braden Venables down the middle, and it's going to be picked off by Luke Seaman. Lewisville improves to 3-0 for the first time in over a decade. 10-3. Fire off the fireworks in Lewisville. They are celebrating their home opening win.
Yeah, they get a couple of nice wins on the road to start off the season, Trav, and defense definitely has been carrying this team, so only allowing 3 points again, 16 given up all season so far for the Leopards. What did you see from them on that side of the football where they're able to hold their opponents pretty much in check?
Well, it's not only the line, the defensive line, it's able to give enough penetration, but it's their corners, their defensive backs, their linebackers that are able to swarm to the ball. There was a lot of sweeps outside that you think, okay, maybe Northwest can get a corner. No. A lot of open field tackling. Actually, Northwest was able to move the ball through the inside of the line, a couple 10, 15-yard runs up the middle, but then they kind of went away from that when Lewisville made an adjustment with their 4-man front. They brought a blitz, but they trusted their corners, their secondary, and they were able to make some big plays. And then quarterback Gabe Stouffer, also a secondary player, made that big interception. He finished with 112 pass yards, 40 rushing yards, and a defensive interception. Coming into this game, he had 5 total touchdowns on offense to lead the team, but he was able to trust himself, and defensively, the defense just phenomenal, giving up only, I think it ended up being 222 yards thanks to a couple drives towards the end when Northwest was just trying to get something going. But other than that, a very big defensive effort for a team that's turning it around. I mean, the city was all behind them. They shut out the lights pretty much because it was packed on the home side tonight for Lewisville. And they feel like this is a team that can do something. You'll see in the MVP interview after the show is over when I get it posted. But Stouffer just saying, this is the time. We're turning it around right now. This could be a good year for us.
Yeah, you see what they did last season in boys basketball, state chip that they bring home. Now a 3-0 start. They know how to play a little bit of football out there in Stark County. And in Region 7, they're sitting number 2 right now. It's very, very early, and especially when you look at what they got coming up. At Marlington next week, Trav. But then they've got LaSalle on the schedule, Canfield, and Hoover, all 3-0 teams. So based on what you saw tonight, how realistic is it that this team moves forward and ends up with a top 4 seed in that D2 Region 7?
I mean, it's going to be tough with everybody that is in that region, but they're showing that they can win in any way. They've blown out teams tonight against a rival that's had them, had the best of them twice in a row. They were able to knock them off. And Northwest is a team that had, I think, 15 seniors, I believe, is on the roster for them this year. So it's not like Northwest was a slouch that just couldn't get the ball moving. It's just because Lewisville is just so complete at this time. They're going to be at least competitive in those next 3 games. They can win 2 of those, 1 or 2 of those. They'll have a chance at going because just like I said, like you're saying, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, playoff points galore for them up there in those games coming up. But if they can get a couple wins out of the next 3 or 4, I think they're going to be sitting pretty, at least for a home game, because now we're down, we're up to 12 teams in this playoff. So the top 8 get a home game. Those top 4 get that bye.
All right, buddy, you keep sitting pretty right there in your basement in that great-looking playoff or like gaming chair that you have. We're going to go from your new stomping grounds, and we're going to check out your old stomping grounds now. That's right, because we're going to get a taste of some gridiron glory right now. And with that, we are going to welcome in Evan Johnson. We gave you a little sneak peek, a preview, and he was taking in a KMAC team in Mount Gilead, and they were on the road against Grove City Christian tonight. So give me some details, Evan. What was the juice heading into this contest?
Well, for starters, being in Athens, Ohio, I don't think I ever expected to go see a Mount Gilead football game this year. But I was really excited to. Both of these teams undefeated. Both of these teams in Region 23, so maybe some playoff implications later. But these 2 offenses are kind of complete polar opposites, and that was something I was looking forward to see. Obviously, Mount Gilead with their ground and pound style, and Grove City Christian is really big on the air raid this year.
All right, let's see how it all shook out tonight for the Indians on the road.
So yeah, getting this started off, we just talked about how Mount Gilead runs the ball all the time, but they're going to let it fly in the first quarter, go up and get me a ball, takes it to the crib, and that was the first touchdown of the game. Mount Gilead up 7-0, but this time with a nice fake, Douglas Housley is going to take it to the house by himself, but this is kind of what Mount Gilead went back to all night long, just running the ball up the middle, getting those big chunk yards of just trying to get first downs on 4th down, 3rd downs. But here we go. The Eagles showing off the range, and I guarantee the camera person is okay after that one. But Mount Gilead is able to keep the ball rolling on the ground. They'll punch one in. And really the defense is what got to Grove City tonight. They were unable to kind of make any of those big plays down the stretch. And Mount Gilead was just making plays all over. And they get in their 3rd touchdown of the game and win this one 21-7.
All right, let's talk about the Eagles a little bit because the schedule doesn't get much easier for them. They got Bishop Rosecrans coming up, then they got Miller, and then Grandview Heights a couple of weeks after that. All undefeated right now on the season, Evans. So in terms of like bouncing back, getting their act together, do you see this team having the potential to be competitive during the middle chunk of the season?
I really do. They won the MSL Cardinal last year, and they're kind of expected to do the same this year. Last year, they were a running team. The running back graduates. Now they have to go to the passing game. They have a really big defense, a lot of big defensive linemen. They all graduate. So now they have this smaller defense that they have to work with. I think it's going to take them those few weeks to kind of start meshing and learning this new style of football they're playing, kind of switching both sides of the ball around. So I think they'll start to figure things out, and if they can get some of these conference wins rolling, I think they'll be just fine.
And then for Mount Gilead, we talked to Coach Reed last week, I believe, on the show, and he said this is the first time we've been 2-0 in a long time. Now they're 3-0. They're going to have to go way back in the history books to see when the last time the Indians were able to accomplish that. So putting the pieces together this season, how do you see this puzzle all just coming together for them so far in the early portion of the season?
Well, I also got to talk to Coach Reed tonight. I love Coach Reed. It was great talking to him. And the one thing that stuck out to me was not anything about the skill sets of this team. He talked about the chemistry. He said this is some of the best chemistry he's seen in a team, and this is obviously his 5th season. So he's really got his culture down. He's got his guys believing in the program, believing in what they're playing in, and you could just really tell that they were one unit playing on the field tonight. And I think that just having that chemistry and that off-field culture is really going to carry them throughout this season. They obviously have the talented guys like Carson Barnum, who's just going to run through you. They showed off they can throw the ball if they have to. And so I think they'll be a big threat for a lot of teams.
Yeah, what an exciting time right now to be a fan down there on the reservation. And they got a huge one coming up. They're going to be at home next week against the defending KMAC champs in Danville. So very much looking forward to seeing how they compete in that one. And always love seeing you here bringing some gridiron glory to the show, Mr. Johnson.
Appreciate it, and I don't know if Travis can hear me, but let him know to learn the name Parker Navarro because my Ohio Bobcats will be defeating his West Virginia Mountaineers tomorrow. You can book it. You can book it. A sold-out PCM will be the biggest capacity in OU football history, and the Bobcats will be taking victory. So I hope he has fun with that one tomorrow.
All right. Appreciate you dropping that right on top of Travis's head while we got him muted, man. Good stuff. Enjoy the rest of your late Friday night. All right, we're going to get to the Danville highlights from tonight. They were at home against Lucas. Here in just a second, we got Jonathan Langdon on deck. But first, I want to talk about my game and the one that I had a chance to see tonight because the Crestview Cougars didn't have very much momentum coming into week number 3. This was a team that was 0-2, coming off of a shutout loss in week number 1. They go to Kirtland. They only put up 7 points, and they get blown out by a Hornets team that pretty much does that to everybody. But this could just be their night because you see on the opening drive for Keystone, sophomore quarterback Colton Cowling finds Bobby Gurich, but it's a fumble. Cougars recover. They drive into enemy territory, but they give it right back. Liam Kuhn's first pass, a little overthrown. Caleb Scott grabs it, and the Wildcats are back in business. A few plays later, junior Zach Taylor following some blocks into the end zone. 7-0 Keystone with 4 minutes to go in the first. And after forcing a Cougar punt, second play of the second quarter would be a big one. How does Shane Oles spin out of that tackle? I don't know, but he would drive through another one, and the 210-pound senior rumbles 80 yards down the far side. Wildcats looking like they are going to roll tonight in Olivesburg. Only Crestview would start to wake up. 3 minutes later, Aiden Raymer cuts the lead in half. Slick 13-yard touchdown run, throwing a defender to the ground on his way into the zone. Cougars offense keeping it going here on the ground game. This is Keith Abshire jetting 34 yards to pay dirt. Awesome blocking up front. We're all square midway through the second. Cougars would go on to take the lead on their next drive. Kuhn bolts in off the quick count on the goal line, and Crestview's on top 21-14 at the break. Raymer stretching out the lead right here. 28-14 on this awesome run that you're probably going to see on top plays on Monday. And the Crestview defense would do the rest. Cougars win it by 14 in their home opener. They roll up 350 yards of offense, 240 of them on the ground. Raider had a buck 30 and a couple of touchdowns. But the Crestview defense allows 0 completions in the second half. They also had 2 takeaways defensively in the secondary. So you look at what they did out of the gates, and even though they lost in week 1, they only allowed 2 points on defense. Wild statistic right there, but I'm told they also had one other 2-0 game that they were on the winning end of. Happened to be the first ever victory in the history of the program on the road at Lucas after starting with 19 straight losses. They won their first ever game in 1970. 2-0, so fun fact. And thank you, Mr. Baker, for giving me that one. But I do really like this Crestview team. They've got a lot of confidence now rolling into their Firelands Conference opener, and a lot of athletes on this team too that are getting significant roles and minutes. They've been doing it for the last couple of years. This was Liam Kuhn's 25th start of his career. We've seen Raymer out there since he was a sophomore as well. So I do think that the Cougars are one to keep an eye on, and the Firelands Conference might be a little bit open. St. Paul figures to be the favorite, but we'll see how things all shake out as the season continues to roll along. But as promised, down at Tough Street tonight, it's going to be the second home this season of Mr. Jonathan Langdon. Lucas, who I mentioned lost 2-0 back in 1970 against Crestview, they were coming into Danville country looking to upset the Devils, I would say, even though they had a nice big win last week. So, Jonathan, what happened down there in Danville, man? What'd you see?
Well, we had a fantastic one. That's exactly what happened. Defense for the very first half of it. Really exciting time to be at Tough Street Stadium last night. Let's go ahead and roll those moving pictures and take a look at how everything went down. Starting with the first quarter, where we saw really the only offense we saw the entire half. It was a 10-minute drive from Lucas. Isn't that old style? Lucas Cub football right there. 7-0 in favor of the Cubs. We jump all the way to the third quarter to find some offense, and it's Cy Zoom Wallace breaking it to the outside, getting his first touchdown of the day. That put him over 100 yards rushing in the third quarter. Up next, Lucas responds quickly. 3 minutes later, they are able to get that lead right back. Danville didn't have the lead for long. However, they are threatening for it again. Ridgway on the option play. This play looks like it's going absolutely nowhere, but Briggs Wallace, the freshman, just had to do a couple of maneuvers, zigzags to the end zone, and gets the job done. They would not get the 2-point conversion. It would stay knotted at 14. Until this, with 11 minutes to go in the fourth. How about Cy Wallace trucking this defender, shoving him off to the side, juking out the next one, and he'll break it to the outside, as he loves to do, to get the stutter step and the second touchdown of his day, over 200 rushing yards for the man who is now the sophomore star for this Danville Blue Devil team. And to cap things off, they get the win with another final touchdown. Chris Mosier enters the end zone for the Danville Blue Devils. 26-14, your final. Danville takes it over Lucas. Nice little bounce back win for them after their rough loss last week at the same place at Tough Street against Utica.
Yeah, that's a little bit more like it for the Danville home fans, and especially they unraveled that new turf. Very excited last week. Utica kind of had their way with them. So to get the 26 points tonight and then hold a Lucas team that we saw what they've been doing so far here with the rushing attack early on in the season. Give me your favorite parts about what you saw from Danville on both sides of the football tonight.
On one side, talking about offensively, they scored 19 unanswered points, and all of those points came from Wallace brothers. Briggs, Siren, they're going to be the real deal later on in the year. I would honestly say that they already are. They're starting to burst onto the scene. Briggs had a touchdown last week, gets one this week as well. Defensively, where I really thought they stepped things up was after the halftime locker room talk with Coach Bloom. That something happened. They lit a fire under that Danville defense. Lucas, that first 10-minute drive I referred to, that was the best they moved the ball all game, and it was thanks to that defensive line that really stepped up. Silas Miser is a name that comes to mind. Justice Tharp as well. Both of them stepped up big time. Chris Mosier came in. I want to send my prayers to Jacob Byers. He did go down with a really rough injury. That's the new star linebacker that really stirs the drink for Danville's defense. Chris Mosier stepped in after he went down and really did a fantastic job. He stuffed Lucas at the end zone a couple of times. But defensively, I thought from first quarter to fourth quarter, that was probably some of the best adjustments I have seen in recent time.
In Coach Bloom, we trust. You kind of knew that he was going to roll it out and figure it out at home in their back-to-back home games there. But let's talk about Lucas for a second then, because they put up 51 points on opening night, and then the last 2 weeks, shutout against Hillsdale, who's obviously really solid. We're going to talk about them here in a second. And then 14 points tonight in a loss. They got a chance to get healthy coming up here next week. They'll be at home, and they've got a winless Van Loo team. But this is a team now in the second-year head coach, with Jimmy Sweat taking over the program after all they knew was with Scott Spittler and winning for about 15 years. Give me your take on Lucas and where you see the Cubs kind of taking things here as we approach that midseason stretch.
I think that Lucas is exactly where they expected to be. Of course, week 2 and 3 is the toughest stretch on their schedule by far this year. They take on the state runners-up and then the team that lost to those state runners-up last year, going back to back against Danville and Hillsdale. I thought they put up a good fight in both of those games. I think Hillsdale at the beginning of the game they felt solid, but then once Hillsdale's offense started to kind of pick them apart, the offense kind of deflated from there. And I would say the exact same thing happened here against Danville. They were rolling to start the game, and then once that first score came up from the Blue Devils, it just felt like the Cubs went into panic mode a little too soon. Should have tried to keep the foot on the pedal. Just didn't end up going their way tonight. I think it'll be interesting to see where they go now from here. But I feel like Coach Sweat isn't sweating too much because those are two solid teams that they just lost to.
Yeah, unquestionably, probably the two best teams is going to be on the schedule perhaps this year moving forward, Jonathan. So I know you got a big weekend coming up, man. I don't want to talk too much football, so let's get into party mode now. You're going to be a birthday boy here very, very soon, coming up tomorrow. How can we expect you to be spending it, and what should we expect to see in terms of just your overall energy on Monday after a party weekend?
Well, my energy better be good because I got to work in the morning. But tomorrow we're going to be headed to a place called Smash Park, just opened up in Westerville. Going to do some pickleball, bowling, all of that sort of fun stuff. Going to go watch Michigan lose to the Oklahoma Sooners as well. That'd be really exciting to see. Nice little birthday present, just to wrap it up for me. And then Sunday's the actual birthday, and family's coming down, and we're going to have a good time, eat some lunch, and see what happens from there.
All right, birthday boy, appreciate you hanging out with us here late night on a Friday. Have a great next couple of days. All right, it's been a pretty nice start to the season so far here for Seneca East. They've been playing a lot of fantastic defense so far. Monroeville as well, though, a pretty good team looking to go into bounce-back mode tonight on the road at Attica. And not a lot of highlights to be shown from this one because this was a defensive struggle in the game. But we do have some points coming up right here. This is going to be a 4-yard touchdown. Gunnar Polacek making it 7-zip. And that's Seneca East getting on the board, if you can see them out there in their camo fatigues. Nicholas Parks, the returning leading passer in the Northern 10, able to bust his way in from 1 yard out. 14-0 now. The Tigers are out on top. Monroeville's only points of the game, I didn't realize it was going to be that short of a highlight. Only 2 touchdowns. They got a safety at the end of the game, so it's 14-2. And they are able to get to 2-1 on the season, sandwiched around that loss that we saw right here against Northmore last week in overtime too, and a missed field goal potentially is the only thing keeping them from being 3-0 right now. And you look forward, heading on the road at Winford next week, and then they've got Cary, who's really struggling with the injuries that they've had. They're 0-3 so far on the season, so it's going to be interesting to see where each of these teams go from here. But the Tigers, they seem primed to be maybe putting themselves in the driver's seat for a collision with Colonel Crawford when it's all said and done to win the Northern 10 crown. They were right there on the last day of the season in 2024 and just weren't able to knock off Mohawk. So it's going to be a fun race, certainly, to keep an eye on. One team that we know for sure is going to be contending for a league championship this year. That is the Hillsdale Falcons. They were back at home for a second consecutive week tonight, and they had an Ashland County longtime rival coming into their place, and don't look now, but Loudonville had a lot of juice as well. We had Doug Haydette out there. He was taken in this game, and Doug, the last couple of times that these two teams met, there wasn't a whole lot really to talk about other than fly Falcons fly, but this one, it had a little bit extra to it with both birds coming in with some momentum.
Yeah, a little bit of steam coming into this one. Obviously, both 2-0 starts, and Redbirds 0-10 last year. I think they scored 72 points the entire season. So coming into this one, I think like 100-plus points So offense doing really well. They beat Mapleton in week 1, and it was a much more highly touted game coming in tonight than they have been here these last few years. I think they beat Hillsdale in 22 down in Loudonville, but yeah, the last few years have not been very close games.
Yeah, 108 total points were scored by Loudonville the first 2 weeks. And I got the highlights. Roll with me here, Doug. Let's show the people at home how this one all rolled out. And there's the Falcons rolling out. We got Loudonville, though, in the house, too, as we mentioned. And they really felt like they had an opportunity to win this game coming on the road this season. But you know who the Falcons have who's pretty special? How about Mr. Hayden McFadden? He's going to start off the scoring here. Just a quick little jailbreak screen, and gosh, that dude is so fast. 19 yards. He's into the zone off the setup from Kel Lewis. 7-zip. Knox Lewis now. He's going to get involved in on the act as the Bros are going to hook up. Nice dot into the end zone. 11-yard connect. It is 14-0. That's the score at the half. Kyle Turk here, early third quarter. This is a 31-yard dime, and we've seen Lewis. He's got such a great arm. Amazing touch as well. It would be 21-zip, but don't blink because it's about to be 28-0 Brock Bauer now. The latest recipient of a touchdown pass from Lewis, this of the 20-yard variety. Loudonville, though, would not be shut out on this night. How about a 3-yard touchdown run here? This is early on in the fourth quarter to avoid getting skunked, but you knew it would not be a Hillsdale highlight without Owen Sloan breaking into your living room, and he's going to break off a beautiful 65-yard run right here. Just such great vision, amazing speed. He takes it down the sideline. That's going to be a play of the week nominee as well. Loudonville would tack on one more score at the end of the game. Touchdown run here from Cullen Calley, but it's going to be the victory formation coming up here in a second because Hillsdale would win big here in this game, holding serve at home, and they are now 3-0 on the season. I think like we all kind of expected, Doug, but one big takeaway from this game, you saw McFadden in the highlight score the first touchdown, and he's been a huge impact player. Went down with an injury tonight. What can you tell me about Hayden and maybe what we should expect moving into week 4 and beyond?
Yeah, I think maybe other than the outcome of this game, the big takeaway is Hayden going down first quarter. I think there are about 5 minutes left, and they attended to him for quite a while there on the field, and he kind of really didn't put much weight on his right leg coming off. He's in street clothes in the second half, so I would not be surprised if maybe they get him off his feet next week. And I mean, they got a game against Chippewa, so that one obviously is supposed to be one Hillsdale takes care of business in, and then you got the big game at Dalton in week 5. So obviously not a whole lot discussed in terms of what the injury was specifically or any of that, and we can't really get into those details and guess, but didn't look great for Hayden. He was all smiles after the game, but like I said, street clothes, and you lose a guy like that, the best receiver in the history of the program, already has most of their receiving records, and you lose a lot of speed. But what was good was Cale Lewis was able to hit 4 different receivers for his touchdown passes tonight. So they found a way to do it still. They still got plenty of talent around them. So if they do need to go for a few games without Hayden, I think they have the guys that can kind of cover the bases for them.
Offensively, obviously, so special, this Hillsdale team. Spreading around the love, 4 different players catch a touchdown tonight. But defensively, I don't think we talk enough about them. They have a shutout last week. They only give up 14 points so far coming into week number 3. So what impressed you most about the Falcons on the defensive side of the football?
Yeah, just swarming like we've all grown used to seeing from that team. Brady Heller had a pick tonight on a tipped pass. I don't think they've given up a first half point this season. I'm pretty certain about that too. So no running clock tonight. But other than that, I mean, this defense is still doing what it's doing. No big plays allowed tonight. I think they gave up a decent kickoff return, but then Loudonville kind of shot itself in the foot a couple times in the first half. So, but yeah, I think their quarterback ended up with maybe 40 yards passing. None of their running backs over 50 yards rushing. So just the defense, it's always kind of a committee squad effort out there. But yeah, just a lot of guys really showing up tonight. Jake Haven, another one that I heard his name a lot, and Knox Lewis, I heard his name a lot on defense as well.
So you showed up in Dromesville tonight, but obviously you're always keeping an eye on those Ashland Arrows coming off to a 2-0 start to the season. They went on the road at Clyde, a team that perennially pretty powerful program, but they would now slip to 0-3, 35-21. Ashland gets the win, and they remain undefeated. So let's talk about some storylines from that game here, Doug. Their first real test of the season, though, at least in terms of the score. So what did you think about Ashland, the final score there, going on the road and coming out with a victory?
Yeah, wasn't there, like you said, but staying on the phone with a lot of different people, texting and getting some help from the guys that do some of their video out there and some other friends that I have, and was tied 21-all at halftime. They were kind of going back and forth a little bit. Ashland ended up giving up over 400 yards of offense tonight, so no points allowed in the second half. But yeah, their first test. Clyde is 0-3 for the first time since 2009 now, but they had a running back, Adam Young, went for 32 carries, 122 yards, 3 touchdowns in the first half. And then their quarterback, 21 of 32 for 277. So it got a little interesting there, but the defense kind of held firm in the second half. They got a couple interceptions, Killian O'Brien with one, and then Braden Donatini with the other one. So kind of held it off, and 3-0. The wild stat here that I found this week was they have not had back-to-back 3-0 starts since 1951 and 1952. So they were able to do that here tonight.
Wow, so Coach Valentine outdoing Coach Valentine, man, in his second stint with the program. That's pretty cool. I want you to touch a little bit more on 2 names, though, O'Brien and Gabe Baith, who you felt like had kind of a breakout performance tonight. What type of impact are these 2 guys having right now for the 3-0 Arrows?
Yeah, so Gabe Baith, great speedster. He's a multi-sport athlete, really fun to watch. Returned the opening kickoff of the season for a touchdown, and since then hadn't gotten to the end zone. Tonight he goes for 4 catches, 126 yards receiving. His touchdown pass, I think, was 48 yards, the last score of the game. He kind of been quiet offensively here these first few weeks, and finally cool to see that he broke out tonight. And then Killian O'Brien, he has scored receiving touchdown in all 3 games so far. Also had his second interception of the season tonight. So those 2 just awesome playmakers, fast. I mean, they can really get outside. Coach Valentine, I did talk to him over the phone after the game tonight, and he just said that when they would go over to Baith to cover him, O'Brien would get past the defense and vice versa. So Nathan Bernard, the quarterback for the Arrows, really kind of just picking the poison tonight between those 2.
Yeah, that's a scary team to keep an eye on moving forward, and especially in the OCC that's very watered down, it seems, this season. So you don't want to overlook anything, but likely a collision course for that Week 10 showdown, them and Lexington, which is on the road in Minutemen country for those Arrows. But I think that we're all kind of looking forward to that one, probably deciding the final chapter of the OCC, Doug. So thanks for calling in, man, as always, and appreciate the insight on everything Ashland.
Absolutely. Big night in Ashland County. 2 3-0 teams again. Hillsdale and Ashland getting it done. So fun to watch, fun to follow.
All right. Fun time to be a reporter over there at the Ashland Source. So check out all of his articles. He'll have them, I think, going up now. They've got some pictures in the whole 9 yards. But for us, we're going to take one more commercial timeout. And when we come back, you already know what time it is. Get your bottles ready. If you don't have your mug or your cup available, it's time. We got the Jardy Party on the way.
Hey, does your checking account pay you with real cash rewards with no monthly maintenance fees ever? Bummer. Ask for Kasasa Rewards Checking. It's our superpower.
You have better things to do than to job hunt or scramble to find your next great hire. So let Spherion do it. We say local is our superpower because we live and work where you live and work. We know the Mid-Ohio job market, and we're locally owned. So you won't find a partner who's more engaged and literally invested in your success. If you're ready for something better, start with Spherion. Visit us online at midohiojobs.net or call 419-747-7479.
Supporting our local teams or cheering you on in life, we're here for you in every victory, big or small. Mechanics Bank. That's better.
At Avita Home Health and Hospice, our caring professionals are ready to serve you with personally tailored services designed to meet the unique needs of each individual. When we take on a patient at Avita Home Health and Hospice, they really do feel like family. So when we take care of our family, we want to take care of the whole person. So we take care of them from our nurses, our aides, our physical, occupational, and speech therapists, but we also have people that tend to their hearts. So we have social workers, we have chaplains, and people that can help with the emotional side of their care.
At Avita Home Health and Hospice, we have a dedicated team that takes care of you. Caring for the whole person is our promise to you. From social and emotional well-being to the way the patient relates to their loved ones, we treat your family like our family.
Serving patients and their families wherever they call home, including assisted living facilities and nursing homes. Call 1-800-4NURSES to see if Avita can help administer your plan of custom care.
In business and ag banking, it's not just about the numbers, it's about the people. At First Federal Community Bank, we believe relationships are the foundation of every successful partnership. We can help you grow your farm through various ag programs, including working with our local FSA offices, as well as Farmer Mac. We have many commercial business programs to help make your day-to-day operations easy and convenient. Because when you bank with us, you're not just a customer, you're family.
When it comes to comfort, every degree matters. At Buckeye Horizon, we proudly install and maintain Trane heating and cooling systems built to last, engineered for performance. And with our expert service, your home stays comfortable year-round. No matter the season, we'll keep your system running at its best. Call Buckeye Horizon at 419-529-2738, your local Trane comfort specialist.
It may almost be 1 a.m., but it's never too late to get the party started, and I know just the guy. Up on the shores of Lake Erie, we've got Andy Jardy.
Yes. Hello, Brian. How are we doing tonight?
Andy, I am having such a fun time. It has been a phenomenal Friday. Week 3, we're wrapping up the non-league schedule, about to break into all the conference stuff. And obviously, tons of great highlights here on the Pigskin as we get every single week. But it's not all just about the moving pictures. We've also got some headlines, and that's why we always bring you in to let me know what's going on outside of our backyard and around the state of Ohio.
Yeah, a lot of stuff actually did take place in our backyard here in North Central Ohio. So not a lot of branching out, not a lot of noteworthy things that happened elsewhere that I was able to find. The big story tonight, though, is Marion local, legitimately in a close one tonight, They win 21-14. They were down 14-7 at halftime, but they end up winning again. That's now 67 in a row for those keeping score at home, and 51 straight in the regular season.
It looks like last week's headline. Definitely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would not be correct. Yeah. They win 21-14 tonight, though, in a very, very close battle with St. Mary's, I believe is who they St. Mary tonight. So they just got by, but the streak continues. So we'll keep talking about it. Congrats to Marion local. How about Buckeye Valley? We had the highlights earlier in the show tonight.
Yeah.
3-0 for the first time since 2007. Nice win tonight over River Valley, 38-15. And then you saw the highlights of it too from Shelby. But Braden DeVito, I mean, it feels like he's been there for like 10 years because of how dominant he's been, eclipsing the 10,000 career passing yards. Congratulations to Mr. DeVito. He's now the 17th quarterback to ever do that in the state of Ohio. And how about the game we're going to get next week with Gallion and Shelby, both 3-0. They meet next week. I'll be very curious to see how Gallion handles it this year because you remember they met last year and Gallion got out to that 4-0 start. They got tripped up by Shelby, kind of let that snowball into 3 straight losses. We'll see how they go at it this year.
All right. So some headlines, you're right. Some of the local teams saw some of those highlights right here on the Pigskin tonight. But to kind of piggyback off of what you said about Braden DeVito, if he just keeps hitting his season averages, he's going to finish very high near the top of the leaderboard in the history of the state for passing yards, touchdowns. The dude's already over 100 rushing yards. He's almost at like 4,000 yards. So it has kind of a mystique about him at this point. And I remember talking to Eric Will, the former head coach of Shelby, after Brennan Armstrong came through the program and basically just suggesting probably nobody's going to wipe out any of these school records. Braden did it by the time he was heading into his senior year. He still had a whole season to go. So it's been pretty spectacular to watch this kid blossom right before our very eyes, Andy.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, you appreciate living in the same time as someone, you know, to witness the kind of performance we're seeing in and week out from Braden, and just a great kid too. So really, really cool to see him eclipse that mark. And yeah, we'll all be watching very closely to see where he does end up once his career is over. But it'll be towards the top in many, many categories, and potentially setting like unbreakable records at Shelby too, which is really cool.
Yeah, can't wait to see where he finishes up at the end of the year. But you're right, next week's matchup against Gallion, that might be the one definitely that can kind of determine the entire fate of the league moving forward. And Marion local actually did get tested. So when that first graphic came up, I thought that you were just blowing smoke and you were trying to be funny. No. But that was last week's score. So they really did actually get a game this week.
Yeah.
And that's something that they haven't experienced dating back to week 1 of last year.
Yeah, I mean, this was the first time, like I'd be curious. I'm wondering if the last time they lost a game, they were also trailing at halftime. I wasn't able to find out that information, but down at the half. They played St. Henry tonight too. I think I said St. Mary, which is incorrect. So yeah, it was 14-7 at halftime, and then they pitch a shutout in the second half to get it to 21-14 for the win. But yeah, they actually had a close game tonight.
Yeah, don't expect that to happen anytime soon. Until probably when they run into cold water, that they seem to always play some really good games, except for last year when they were 2 of the top teams in the state. All right, Andy, obviously the headlines, that's big news, and we'd like to check in on that, but nothing really keeps me up this late on a Friday quite like the Dandies.
The Dandies, yes, we've got 6 of them for you tonight. We had some great performances all across the board here. We'll start at the game I was at with Travis Berardi. Lewisville's Owen Wilson, wow, 67-yard touchdown run for the only touchdown of the night. The Leopards win 10-3. They are 3-0. Really, really neat setup at Lewisville. Really cool to go visit that part of the state that I hadn't been to cover a high school football game. Just a really unique kind of setup that they've got there too. I'm kind of giving a dandy to the entire Lewisville community because that stadium's like in a neighborhood, so it's got like the Wrigley Field kind of vibe to it. People park far away and just walk to the stadium because there's not really parking at the stadium, which is kind of unique. So really, really cool venue, and hope we get back there a couple more times this year. And then, moving on, how about this performance from Kenton's freshman quarterback, Xavier Gammons, making his first start at quarterback. He leads them to a win over Ottawa Glandorf, 38-27. His stat line, as you see, 600 total yards of offense, 507 of those coming through the air with 3 touchdowns, and then he had 97 yards rushing on the ground. So not too shabby for your first career start. And it's not like he's had some experience at the level too. You know, it's like a junior or senior getting his first start. No, he's a freshman putting up 600 total yards of offense. Really, really incredible stat line right there. You saw it in the highlights as well, too, from Shelby. But Brady Bowman, 4 touchdowns in a route over Bellevue. And did I see correctly? That's the first time, Brian, that Shelby's won at Bellevue since 2010, I believe.
I didn't hear the exact year, but I know it's been quite some time, and that's a rivalry that dates back clear to the NOL days. They've been playing since, I think, the 1940s against each other, year in and year out. So the fact that it had even been like a handful of years, the way that Shelby's been rolling, pretty surprising to me to hear that statistic.
Yeah, I know it's been a minute, so a big win for Shelby. It's funny, there's just certain places sometimes you go to, doesn't matter how good you are or how bad your opponent is, like there are just some places you can't figure out, but they seem to be have figured it out here tonight with a big win over at Bellevue. And also you saw in the highlights, how about the performance from Ontario's Cooper Kilgore? 6 carries, only 6 carries, and 147 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns in their 57-6 win over Madison. I'm not very good at math. I had to use a calculator on this, but that's 24 and a half yards per carry, and he's only a sophomore. So how about that? He looks massive in those highlights, too. He put on the muscle, so good luck stopping him, everyone else on the schedule this year. Talked a little bit about it just moments ago, but Ashland's Gabe Baith, what a game he had here tonight to keep the Arrows undefeated. 4 catches, 127 yards, and a touchdown in a game that statistically and final score makes no sense because Clyde outgained Ashland in just about everything, and then Ashland wins 35-21, but turnovers playing a big part. Arrows now 3-0. And for our final Andy's Dandy of the night, St. Paul's Nate Griffin, game-winning field goal from 27 yards out. They get their first win of the year, 22-20 over Calvert. His extra point attempt had been blocked to tie the game late, 20-19. Got a shot at redemption, didn't miss, and St. Paul gets their first W of the season.
So there are the dandies for this week number 3. Some pretty good ones as well, and I love that we got some local flavor in there. Shout out to St. Paul and the Flyers getting off the schneid, and I'll have to find out specifically the last time that Shelby won at Bellevue, but a very convincing win tonight. And how about we had some NFL football on a Friday night, Andy, down in Brazil, and the 5-time defending AFC champions go down to the Chargers. Haven't seen any of the highlights, but just hearing the final score, 27-21. Quick thoughts on what we might see in the AFC with there's just so many great quarterbacks, and Justin Herbert, it looks like he really had a strong night.
Yeah, he had a great night on my bench in fantasy football. Love to see that. And Xavier Worthy got hurt too, I believe, in this game. There's Travis. Travis is still hanging out. Love to see that. So I think the Chiefs run is over. I think it officially ended in the Super Bowl last year with how Philadelphia manhandled them. I think they're in for a bit of a regression in the AFC, and I don't know, maybe it's the Chargers' time to shine. We'll see. I mean, they got a head coach there that's a cheater, so they could find a way to get a few wins.
This is from the same guy that predicted last week that the Buckeyes were going to be in trouble at home against Texas. So take that with a grain of salt, kids, before you go rolling your entire bankroll out there on the Chiefs' demise.
Oh, God. If you're following me for any sort of advice on that front, good luck. I'll see you under the overpass because we'll be begging for money here soon. But yeah, it's Yeah, Ohio State, I was pleasantly surprised by that. I wasn't quite sure what to expect from that game. I, wanted them to win, but was worried, as a Cleveland fan, that they'd find a way to lose that game. But if the defense is going to be this good, like, Ohio State should be in pretty good shape for this season.
Yeah, I think they're only about a 70-point favorite tomorrow against Grambling. So we'll see if they can handle
Is there
business
actually a
at
line?
home tomorrow at the
I've never
shoe.
found one.
And then since Travis is still with us and he's got his Steelers or whatever the heck that thing is, he's roping his flag here into the shot. Let's get some quick predictions for week 1 before we close it out. Travis, Steelers and Mountaineers both get the win this weekend, huh?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking Nico Marchiol. That is the quarterback that's going to be running wild all over Athens, Ohio tomorrow. But Steelers Jets. It's quarterback from one team going to the other, facing a quarterback from one team that's going to the other. Justin Fields versus Aaron Rodgers were on the opposite teams last year. They'll be facing off at MetLife, but I hate to say it, but I feel like the Browns are going to beat the Bengals once again.
Andy, back them up right here, buddy. Browns are going to get it done, right? 1-0 start doesn't happen in Cleveland very often.
Wacko for Flacco, baby. That's all that matters.
And the funny thing, too, when the Bills beat the Ravens on Monday night, then the Steelers and Browns tied for first in the division after a week. But hey,
I don't think the Bills are beating the Ravens, but that's we can have that conversation on Tuesday.
So
or
you heard it
Monday.
right here at 1:07 a.m. Get your money in where you can right now. Chiefs, Dynasty, over with. Browns, going to the Super Bowl potentially. And then...
I didn't say that.
Well,
say that,
okay,
but why not?
let's pump the brakes. It's a little late. I've had a couple of energy drinks, and it's all kind of going cuckoo right now, but we are wacko for Flacco coming up here in week 1. So I'm very much looking forward to week 1, boys. We just got to get there first. But let's get a little bit of rest, shall we, here?
Yeah.
Yeah? Travis is already at home.
I got
He's
bought
getting back.
on like
Andy,
6
too.
hours, so yeah.
All right, boys. Hey, we got football coming up tomorrow at noon. Buckeye Central is at home. Who the Bucks got? Who they got, Trav?
Fairport.
Got Fairport.
The
So you can
team
watch
that
that one
Hillsdale
live and
blew out in the
free.
first round of the playoffs last year.
So we got that coming up. And then the Stars, Stripes, and Lights as well. We've got the cross country going down, about 7:50 start time for us. And we are going to be uninterrupted, basically just like 5 straight hours of kids running. So, Andy, I'm sure you'll be tuned in for that, yeah? We cut your mic because that's it. Show's over, folks. Get home. Get to bed. Travis, thanks for calling in. Andy, thanks for partying with us. We'll see you guys right back here. Week 4 coming up next Friday night on the Pigskin.